Welcome back to the Prepared Paralegal. This episode is part of a series that we're doing on job interviews and the adventures that people have when they go on job interviews. And there are stories about their own experiences and those of their fellow paralegals, including myself. So, because the topic can sometimes lean on the negative side of things, I thought I would bring you something a little different today. This story is from Kim. She's a listener of the program, and she had a very interesting job interview a few months ago, and she just cannot seem to get it out of her head. And so she called me and let me know about this, and I had a good laugh, and she had a good laugh. And so I thought I would relate it to you today with the permission of Kim. So today's title is called A Sobering Encounter. Kim's story begins with a call from an attorney at 7:15 a.m. on a Saturday morning regarding a position she applied for via a job board posting the previous week. This is Kim's first contact with anyone about the position, and she was a little bit taken aback that someone would call her so early on a Saturday morning. Oh, well, she thought, maybe the attorney is so busy he doesn't even realize it's Saturday. Well, this is where I talked to Kim a little bit about that, and I said, you know what, Kim? That's possible. Attorneys are very busy. Paralegals are very busy. Sometimes they don't understand that there's life outside of the law firm. But it was a Saturday, and the courthouse is not open on a Saturday. And so that's an indication that there might be something a little bit amiss. So let's throw a red flag on that one. Nevertheless, Kim scheduled an interview the next Monday, and she was kind of looking forward to it because the attorney sounded really great on the phone. He was upbeat and outgoing, even joked a little bit with her. So she was kind of interested in seeing what he looked like and what the firm was and where it was located and all that stuff. So I should preface this by saying that Kim was told by him that he desperately needed someone because his current paralegal was moving to another city at the end of the month, which was about 2 weeks. So he also said that he had another employee in the firm that was only working part-time, but she would be leaving to go to law school in the fall, so she wouldn't be there either. So he really needed someone right away. That's not unusual in law firms. Sometimes people don't give a notice more than 2 weeks. Some people give a week. Some people give a month. So it really wasn't unusual that he only had 2 weeks. So she really didn't think anything of it. So off she went to the interview. Well, she goes a few minutes early and just to check out the area because she wasn't familiar with it and to find out where the office is and all that. You don't ever want to be late for an interview. So she looked around, and on the street where this firm was located, it was in a well-known part of town. It was on Attorney Row. There are other attorneys there, right side by side. It was only a couple of blocks from courthouse, so she felt pretty good about it. It was well manicured lawns and very impressive from the outside. And it looked like he may be sharing part of the building with another attorney, which is also not unusual. So she said, okay, what the heck, I'll go in and check out this. So she was feeling pretty positive about it. So as time got closer to her appointment, she went in a few minutes early, and she enters the office, and her mouth literally drops open. In her words, the office was atrocious. The furniture looked like it came from the landfill. The carpet was stained with something that she desperately hoped was coffee, although she swears it was in the shape of a body. And there was trash on the floor. A bus station would have been cleaner. There was no reception area, just kind of an open room. And the paralegal that came to greet her was dressed in shorts, sandals, and a t-shirt, just like she would be going to the beach or to Walmart shopping. So at this point I talked to Kim and I said, you know what? I said, I probably would have just turned around and went right back out the door. Said, chalk it up to experience and just, forget about it. But Kim is a very professional person, so she went in and soldiered on to the interview. She reasoned that, those kinds of things were superficial. She could fix those. You could always get the carpet clean. You could always buy new furniture. You could always make things better. A few plants here and a few plants there looks more professional. So she figured she could do that. The paralegal was leaving anyway, so she could easily fix things on her own. And it was more than what she bargained for, but it was still doable. And then she met the attorney. The attorney was seated in the adjacent room behind his desk. The only way to describe his office was, in Kim's words, filthy. Now, Kim said that she entered the room and he completely ignored her. So she had a moment to look around the room. His office had trash, empty food wrappers and containers thrown into the one corner of the room as if it was a trash bin. There were boxes stacked from floor to ceiling on 3 of the 4 walls, and clothes were hanging over chairs and doors as if he was living there. So, like Kim said, she was ignored until his paralegal told him there was someone there for an interview. So the paralegal moved some clothes off from one chair so that Kim could sit down, and then the paralegal just kind of stood there. Well, the attorney finally raised his head and acknowledged Kim. He was very red-faced. He had red, bloodshot eyes. He seemed to be sleepy. He had a hard time sitting up straight, and when he spoke, he slurred his speech. So Kim knew something was wrong. Obviously, something was wrong. And oh boy, you guessed it. The attorney was drunk as a skunk. This attorney was interviewing a potential employee on a Monday morning, and he was plastered. Now, at this point, I told Kim that I would really not know what to do either, because this is so unusual that maybe I would have just excused myself and just said, okay, I made a mistake, let's get out of here. But Kim said, you know what? I was there already. And so she sat down and she began asking questions about the job. Maybe it was just one of those fluke things. The attorney answered her questions, even though he only used 1 or 2 word answers, and referred most of the questions that Kim had to the current paralegal, because he kept putting his head down on the desk like he needed a nap. Kim said that his current paralegal told her that she had no formal education. She just kind of fell into the position. She used to work in retail clothing, and she got the job by answering his telephones for a couple of years. And so she just gradually moved into the paralegal job because his other paralegal had left. So Kim asked her, well, why are you leaving the position? Well, the paralegal told Kim that she was going to move to another city, a bigger city, in about 2 weeks because she wanted to sow her wild oats before settling down to a career. So Kim said, okay, well, she's a young person, so whatever. The attorney at that point decided to raise his head and tell Kim that she could name her price and she could start any day she wanted. She could set her own time, she could set her own price. Well, to most people, including myself, that kind of statement is what you want to hear from an attorney. You know, you're looking for a job, you want to name your own price and your own hours. Who wouldn't go for that? But after about 20 minutes of this interview, Kim thanked the attorney and paralegal for their time, and then she said she'd have to think about it. At this point, I didn't know what to tell Kim. So, Kim said that she headed toward the door. She almost got out the door when someone was coming in, and it was one of the clients of the attorney, who was dressed for work. This was a working girl, a girl that works at night. You guessed it, a prostitute. His client was a prostitute who had been arrested the previous evening for soliciting or whatever it is they charge him with, and she needed her lawyer to call the district attorney's office for her. She was ranting and raving about being put in jail overnight. So Kim kind of excused herself and all the hoopla that was happening, worked her way around the client, and out the door she went. She finally made it back to her car and then safely home, and all while being a little dazed by the total experience. After the effects had worn off, Kim decided to research the position and the attorney because she just could not believe what she had experienced. During her research, she learned that the attorney had actually been the mayor of the little town. He had also been a former district attorney. And he had also been arrested for driving under the influence just months prior to her interview. The city council in the town had stripped him of his mayor duties. He had been fired by the county as a district attorney, and he had been warned by the state bar and had begun his own practice out of necessity to earn a living. And also, thanks to Facebook and other social media, he learned that the other employee that was part-time and going to go to law school in the fall actually turned out to be his new girlfriend, in which they had become engaged the day before Kim's interview. She wasn't going anywhere. So, what lessons have we learned, and what lessons did Kim learn? Lesson number 1. Always, always, always research the attorney or the firm before you apply for a position. You can check with the state bar in your state to see if there have been any reprimands or disciplinary actions against a particular attorney. You can also Google the attorney's name and firm and find out loads of stuff. You can also check social media for the personal stuff, because that stuff will bleed into the workday, and it will sometimes be more than you can handle. At the very least, you will know what you're up against if you accept an interview. Lesson number 2. Always arrive at least 15 to 20 minutes before your interview to scope out the office and current clientele. This will save you plenty of heartache later. Even if you search the area on Google Earth, you can't get a feel for the area unless you're actually there. I myself once went to an interview based on the street view of the firm, only to discover that the building should have been condemned a long time ago. So make sure that you arrive early enough so you can go around the neighborhood and find out what it's really like. Lesson 3. Know your boundaries. Don't accept a position just because you are in dire need of employment and need the money. There will always be another job come along, even if you have to wait a while for it. Everyone's line in the sand is different, so know where your line is and stick to it. Don't compromise your ethics or morals for anyone else. So, that's Kim's story and her lessons. If you have a similar or extraordinary story about a job interview, please send it to us and we'll create a podcast and give you a shout out. So, until next time, this is the Prepared Paralegal reminding you to continue to learn and grow.